5th of May, 2022. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube station channel. And make sure to like my official YouTube video, subscribe to my official YouTube channel, and go to my website, www.susanmealing.com. Or good afternoon or good evening. I guess it depends on what time you listen and watch my official YouTube channel video link. And oh, do share the link to my official YouTube channel. So, I got made fun of. And I'm not talking about just how I make fun of myself. And I can do that. I'm fairly adept at this. And I am. I'm fairly adept at making fun of myself. And this is before my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. But especially after my Palm Sunday head injury, I got made fun of for how much I could make fun of myself. And then I was told that they thought I was self-deprecating, which then I didn't really understand that, because it was like, well, why would I be self-deprecating if I'm just making fun of myself? That's kind of a little bit backwards. And so I'm fairly competent at this. I think I got it down pat. I'm fairly certain on this. However, I don't want to assume. So, back in the year of 1999, I got made fun of for what I thought was the dumbest thing ever to be made fun of for. So, I go and do my paperwork to file my taxes in 1999, okay? Write the check, although I also gave the envelope to Anna to send off to the post office. I'll leave it at that one as far as that's concerned. Anyway, you know, my biological mother, so you can take that in consideration. She actually made fun of me for being willing to pay, it was like $45 something change, right? It was a Harris bank account in Crystal Lake, Illinois that I had opened up. She got mad that I opened up my own account because I didn't want to have anything to do with her. This is how long I knew not to have her involved in my life or my finances or anything. This is how long. Way back then, before I actually, like, the amount of needless problems I dealt with because of those people, called my biological mother, biological father, or biological sister. This is a several decades long thing. So if I got paid, I dealt with all sorts of needless situations. When I did babysitting, they literally took my cash from me. It's one of those, they are the worst I don't even think you can call them human beings, in my opinion. Because there is no human being that would do that to a child that they actually cared about. So while I had dealt with what I had dealt with, the needless problems, which the clarifications and verifications are capable to prove that. I actually called the IRS on my biological mother because I found out she was working at H&R Block giving lectures. And it's like, yeah, no, you really don't want to. It's kind of like those warnings I gave to people in Texas from like 2000 through 2012. You don't want that. I promise you, because there's a piece of paper you sign that you think that you are in. No. She is a scam artist regarding my biological mother. She is one of those, oh, catch me if you can type. She is a putrid human being, in my opinion. And, since you would know, as far as my biological sister and biological father, we don't get along. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, okay? So I got made fun of for, I'm going to send this money to the IRS, because I'd rather the IRS, get paid in comparison to you people. It's my work. It's my stuff. I dealt with that when it came to working at IHOP. I dealt with that when it came to working at Turtle Wax. I dealt with that when it came to working at, as well as for, Jim Malati, Oldsmobile Isuzu Nissan. I dealt with that. So even though I got paid by, Jim Malati, Oldsmobile Isuzu Nissan, and Crystal Lake, the issues that I was actually dealing with during those time frames was as it was. When I was paid for babysitting, same thing. Like, if they actually knew at the time frame of it was ridiculous as to what I was dealing with. And it's when at Andy's, as far as the restaurant, all of that. It was a constant pushing them away. So when and it's the same thing regarding Marine and Science Technology School, because they knew that the military wouldn't allow certain things when it came to those people. And it's like, I don't know how many times I've had to explain this because I just don't think I can count that high. I mean, realistically. And I'm not just talking about my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmeeling.com. I've literally done everything I possibly could, not in any mean sort of way, just literally leave me alone so I can live my own life, make my own money, spend my money my way. In comparison, like just ew, to this level. It's one of those, my biological mother, biological father, and biological sister, the people that I've known in the state of Texas where I've told them, don't ride my coattails. I promise you, you don't want to do that. This is part of the reason why. Because you do that, this is what you will do. I don't mind, as many people have learned, I'm going to guesstimate. Here, no, like, this person does this and this is amazing. This person does this is amazing. This person does this is amazing. You don't want to ride my coattails, though, because until I can fully get my biological mother, biological father, and biological sister completely out of my life, completely out of every aspect of what I am working on, then we can talk. Until that point in time, I promise you, I am doing what I can. Like, if you think that I'm being mean, I promise you, I'm not. I'm doing what I can to prevent you from having to deal with these people. If you think I'm joking, you're gonna learn that there's truth behind every joke, and that is those people. No joke, no garbage, no BS, telling you the truth. Like, and people in various sectors of the state of Texas were like, no, no, no. Everybody has family issues. No, no, no. You people claim you know how people are from New Jersey. Let me tell you, you don't. No. Because people from New Jersey would not do the garbage my biological mother, biological father, and biological sister have done. I promise you, because there are certain issues that would occur. And so I promise. So I'm a big proponent on certain things. So I'm about life. You might think I'm being mean. You might even think I don't want you involved with certain, no. I just want to make sure that my business is clear. Because I know as long as my business is clear, that means, okay, you take care of your business, but we can work together. But like, you don't want them involved. I promise you, you think it's okay. It's not. They are no. I'm going to guesstimate people learn this because I did this in Illinois. In Illinois, people didn't believe me. The only people who believed me were the guys that I'd meet up with to go race cars. Those were the only ones, and when I made my money, because, I know how to drive fast. I'm pretty good at it. So there was this one guy that I dated in Ohio. He really didn't think that a 442 could fit in a Honda Civic, and it's like, I know what to do to convert a few things. You don't even know. You have no idea what I've driven as far as that's concerned, because it was this huge thing where he was trying to be on the cheese. But he was doing it in a kind of flirting-ish way, I guess, because we were in a relationship, and so he was, taller than me, or is, and it was like, oh yeah, well, I know what can go in an engine, and by the way, I know how to hit the NOS button right, alright? And so, I know how to make that, you don't know. You have no idea how I know how to hit. I have driven a manual transmission. So, I learned how to drive the manual transmission. I didn't realize it was the same sort of thing because I was used to an 8-speed compared to the 5-speed, and it's like, oh, is that what that, oh, okay. This is why I was capable to learn how to do that easier. Because by that time I had already been racing, so I hadn't ever seen a stock piece before. That was my issue when it came to Jim Velati, old Suzu Nissan. His eldest son went went to go teach me, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't know how to, because I had seen the manifold, and it's like, oh, see so there's a guy who actually would be capable to relate to this in a very different capacity. So when it comes to MMJ, I used a hot box and or a volcano. And so we went to a shop, and he's like, oh, look, they've got dugouts. And I'm like, where are they playing baseball? And he was like, no, what? And I'm like, yeah, where are they playing baseball? You said dugout. Or are they playing dodgeball? Which one is it? And he was like, no, what? Yeah, no, where, what do you mean? Like, this is a store. And he goes, yeah, there's a dugout right there. What do you mean? So then he gets the guy behind the counter to pull out this little wooden box, okay? And I look at it and I go, is it a fairy-sized dugout? Where are the fairies? And so I open the doohickey mabob and so for those who know what one is, so I go like this, and you know what happens. So I catch this little white thing, metal, yeah, no, total not ninja. And so what is this a cigarette? And he's like, no, it is, but it's not, you use it for this. And I go and hand it to him, it's like, look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Where are the data? So I have it to my eye like a kaleidoscope, looking at where is the baseball players? I don't see any baseball players. Where are they? Like, how fairy-sized are they? He has no idea about Excalibur Fair, mind you. So where are the fairy-sized baseball players? Yodelay-hee-hoo. And so he's like, how do you smoke out of this? And so I'm literally looking around this, wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl? And so I look at the bottom part of this box thing, and I'm like, what is this? What is wrong with this? Or I guess the equivalent of, for those who know the Little Mermaid aspect, I don't know. What is wrong with this? And so he's completely baffled how I'm smoking out of a hot box or using a volcano, for those who know. And so I don't understand, where does this get? Then so, get the little metal cigarette, and so then I think, okay, maybe the fairy-sized baseball players are in there. No, they're not. Where are they? And so, in my defense, this is just a little over 2 years after having gone scuba diving, earning 26 scuba diving certifications, landing at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico a bunch of times, as well as having landed at the bottom of the Vandenberg after, landing at the bottom of the Atlantic area, finding a few underwater forming volcanoes, that's all. And so, where is that? Yodelay-hee-hoo. So he's completely incapable to breathe at this point in time, and I'm like, what'd I do wrong? And he's like, I just can't believe that you can smoke out of that, and have no idea. Well, why would I smoke out of a wooden box? That's kind of stupid. If I'm going to smoke out of anything like that, I'll smoke out of a meerschaum pipe. And he's like, wait, what? Yeah, no. You don't know? And he's just like, wait, you know what a meerschaum pipe is? I'm kind of a little specific. Mind you, I have no idea what a freaking dugout is to this day. And he's just like, so you'll use a meerschaum pipe? Yes, because the way the bowl forms and everything, and then like it evenly burns the medicine. And then, it keeps it cool, although I've kind of sometimes broken a meerschaum pipe or a few. And so, which, you have no idea how annoying that is. It makes me sad. I'll deal with breaking glass. All right, fine, that happens a whole bunch of times. I trip over air. However, having a meerschaum pipe that's a traditional, actual, real meerschaum pipe in comparison to some other factors, yeah, no, I'm a smidgen CDO on that. And so, yeah, so he made fun of me for that, and it's like, I don't know. Who would do that? Why would you do that? Why would you have a box full of, do you know what that is? Let me understand this. You put that in there, and then this was an actual discussion. So you put it in there, and then what? And then you, so let me understand this. You think this is intelligent-er? To go and put it in the slot over here, to then open it up, to turn it upside down, to get the little cigarette metal thing? What do you think happens to the rest of the stuff? And he goes, why would you ask that question? It made perfect sense to me back then. I didn't get the dugout. I saw it as a problem, because that seemed like you just pour out all the MMJ. I don't know, but you know, fine. I don't know what a dugout is. That's fine, except for in baseball. I can make fun of myself. That's fine. It seems like a waste of MMJ. Is what it is. What do I know? I'm not the smartest crayon in the toolbox. However, I've broken a bunch of pieces of glass. And so those whips, as far as the hot boxes are concerned, they are just as expensive as the little pipe thingamabobs. What did you think my collection would be? So, and you know, and it's really annoying because you get these really pretty pieces, and then all of a sudden, son of a, you know, so then fine, I get the whips, and then, so online they had these different types where you get all prettified. Yeah, no, I know myself. I'll save the money for the next time I need to order one, because I'm apparently gonna put some of you through college, because with the way I'm going as far as breaking glass because of my issues after. So, you know, I have my head injury after effects from my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. So I deal with headaches and migraines, memory deficits, cognitive disorders. And I, you know, went from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math. Well, I had twitchy hands. I thought it had to do with the medications I was on. And so, but I had vertigo from it, from my head injury. So I'd randomly get dizzy. At random times I'd see stars and then I'd fall down. Well, that's not helpful when you have a head injury. And I can't wear a helmet because, you know, I have headaches. It's kind of... It doesn't work out so well when you have headaches to have to wear a helmet because of how clumsy, and I do not even need to go there. And so, why didn't I ride bicycles or scooters? I have a reason after my head injury. Yeah, no. And so, I can make fun of myself easily. And so, however, after scuba diving, my hands were very, very, it was very difficult for me to hold on to some things. It wasn't that I had issues with muscle control. It was just the culmination, because additionally, where the Vandenberg is, as well as the forming underwater volcanoes, is within the Bermuda Triangle. So I'm dealing with all that, plus the astrological stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this will be a great day. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Not only do I have to be a biological female, which in turn, you know, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, you know, just keep that in mind. Let me make sure I remember, you know. Always have some surfboards nearby and or some torpedoes. You know, as a biological female, either that or always wear something dark. I can be accustomed to that because I grew up as a tomboy. This is a little bit different, though. Apparently, though, precursor 4. I'm ready to go. That's fine. Okay, fine. Always wear something red at the minimum. At the very minimum, because then I can't get angry at that. Other stuff, that's a whole other ball of wax. That part? No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can deal with that. I know how to deal with that, okay, fine. However, you transgenders, you know what, I acknowledge, I'm kind of envious of you. You drag queens and you transgenders. You don't have to deal with, the menses. Yeah. No, just think. You can wear any color at any time of the month. I have to watch the actual moon to pay attention. I literally do. I literally have to pay attention to the cycle of the moon, and then depending on the astrological alignment, then I have to pay attention to that too. Because then that could just flip everything all the way around, and then, oh, it might be during the full moon. No, this month it might be during the new moon. No, this one, it might be a few months or a few days before the new moon, or a few days after. Done. It could be the full moon though, a few days before, a few days. It might be during the waning gibbous or the waxing gibbous. Who knows? The astrological, you have no idea how annoying it is. And so, yeah, no. Don't be jealous. But I will acknowledge in a positive way, mainly because you can positively wear most colors at any point in time. Yeah. I have had 2 periods in 1 month before. And I'm talking full. Because of the new moon and then the full moon, whatever astrologically was going on. No, that's cool. No, that's cool. I've been a beard before. I'm all LGBTQB fine. I'm a pansexual, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me, though. Excuse me. You know when they say life's not fair? Yeah, no kidding. I give life because, I've given birth to 2 children. So, it is, I'm just saying though, I'm just throwing this out there. Anyway. So in regards of, I've done what I could to actually pay taxes. Now again, I was born and raised in New Jersey and grown up going to New York City and New York State and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and around Pennsylvania, such as Lancaster. Excuse me, if you've heard of Enron, no, here IRS, No, I know what you can do. No. No. Literally, one day I was reading the newspaper, Asbury Park Press, right? They're talking about Enron scandal, blah, 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 blah. And I'm whatever age, I don't know if I'm even a teenager yet. And so I go to the cupboard to go open it up. Well, my biological mother and biological father, they're a deacon and a trustee at the Presbyterian Church, Old Tenant Presbyterian Church. They're working on getting the historical something another plaque as far as, Old Tenant Presbyterian Church after the whole whatever. And I see these 2 cups with red cardinals on it and hollies. And then this other one nearby, and it's a white and black cup. And it's got little decorative stuff. And it says, "The Lord giveth, and the Lord can taketh away." And I've got Enron scandal in the Asbury Park Press, and I'm like, yeah, no joke. No joke. I don't know if I want to drink right now. I don't know. It kind of is a little nerve-wracking right now to think about to get one of these coffee mugs. Well, I got this right here, so I got made fun of for being like, here's my check to, no, I'm not getting, I've read those newspapers, I knew people, no, I'm not getting involved with that, no. Who do I not ever want to owe money to? 3 letters, 3 words. These 3 letters, IRS, Internal Revenue Service. Don't want ever. No. Make fun of me all you want, that's fine. That's fine. Go through it. Go learn about Enron as far as the audits that went on. Oh, no. No. And remember, Texas, Mike, Anna, and Patricia were up in that area, but they sure wanted to go to the state of Texas. Just keep that in mind. No, people, I promise they're being this way. Yeah. So that's how they are. That's just the way they've been and those types. And so it's one of those, some people have had their opinions, and it's one of those, they should be made to acknowledge the truth. You know, it just is as it is. They did as they did throughout the state of Texas, the San Antonio pagan community. They even went to Joe Rose's drum circle. Well, mainly Anna. Anna would go, and it's like, why are you so trifling? Like, she really just so trifling. Just ridiculously trifling. Realistic, just so ridiculous. So, it's no, so I did everything I could because I had already seen, I already dealt with stuff. I made attempts to warn people. So, I get my house. So the first year I'm in Texas, I wake up from my coma. Whenever I woke up from my coma. I don't know how long. I know it was sometime around like June or July. I think it was towards the end of June, beginning of July. Good morning! And so, hello! And so it was as it was, and then, arrive in medical hold unit, it's a whopping 17-year-old. Yeah, it's a whopping 17-year-old who didn't graduate basic training. Hello! And is as it is. So then 2001, and, I'm making attempts to figure things out. The situations were as they were, go to, I think it was H&R at the time, and take care of that. And the guy tells me, you don't have any taxes to ever worry about, only because of this situation, and it's technically him who has to pay taxes in comparison to you. Oh. Why? And so it was explained to me because of the non-taxable income regarding my stuff. Oh, okay. Are you sure? And the guy's like, yeah. I'm like, oh no. Well, 2002, I was in the hospital when it was tax season, so, excuse me. I was a little busy, I was pregnant with my daughter, taking care of my son at the same time. This is the irony. Even though I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain, this is the impact, pun intended, that Enron made, where it was like, so these IRS people, pre-head injury main two events that I can remember. Okay, basic training. Okay, as far as certain pictures. And 2, Enron. Done. That's all I needed to know. And so, yeah, no, not that that was all I needed to know, but those were 2 pretty big and important situations when you really think about it. Yeah, so make sure to pay my taxes and protect myself. Done! Got the memo. Yes, okay. As best as I can. So, okay, 2003, and get my house. Well, all of my taxes get put into my house property, as far as all that's concerned, and I get that as far as that's concerned, and so, was as it was. Same thing with each year. Well, Anna goes and tries to find out what's going on. Well, she speaks with my now dead ex-husband in comparison to ever speaking with me. Because why would you actually speak with the one and only person who's the one and only sponsor? Because that would be intellectually smart in comparison to the assumptions that she had. So the level of stupidity in these references, because why would you ever take anything into consideration that I'd actually know anything? Because, I didn't graduate basic training. Why would there be anything from my childhood or teenage years that would, prove that I actually knew something? And of course there is, but, they have been the way they have been. So instead of asking the one and only person who would know each and every capacity of, they did as they did. Well, they don't know anything at all. They have no capacity of this because of my status. So because, hypothetically, they would think that they would actually know, and they wouldn't, they would only do things in the wrong way. That would be it. That would be because they went to the wrong person, that's why. Each and every time they preferred speaking to the wrong person instead of the correct person. The one and only correct person. Because why would they do that? That would have to translate to them accepting I actually have known the entire time. However, I didn't have a degree. I didn't have anything after my last name. Oh, and I was doing this. They had such a typical Northeast viewpoint, where the only way you can advance, especially in the 1980s, 1990s, the yuppie mentality, the only way you could do anything was if you were married. That was the yuppie mentality. Anybody that wasn't a yuppie refused to get married unless there was an actual reason to, such as, feelings and emotions and crap like that. Otherwise, only the yuppies were the ones that did that. Because it was one of those, well, I can do things on my own. And unless the individual is going to actually enhance my life, I'm not about to deal with someone that's going to detract from it, because no, ew. So, no thanks. I'll go on my own way, because anybody who knew the difference between the yuppies in the 1980s and especially the 1990s, because it really began in the early 1980s, where these yuppies were like, the only way we can get in is because the yuppies are hippies that wanted to get in on business. So all they would do is, yep, yeah, sure, whatever, yeah, not paying attention. So because of a lot of the business individuals, especially the higher ups, they thought that the only way to get them to be impressed by them was for them to have a family. That was it. That was the yuppie thing. So they, put certain things to the side, and instead, they just cause a bunch of needless problems, because why would you pay attention? If you have no capacity of being an actual parent, why would you get married? And so then there's the other one, or have children especially, but then there were the ones that wouldn't get married for love. They'd only do it for business, why is there such a high divorce rate? Because the individuals, in this lecture for clarification, because the individuals who would get married for business inevitably would come across someone they love. And then business entanglements. And so because of those factors, if you couldn't make certain things actually occur, it wouldn't matter for certain people, because they weren't willing to be second, ever. And so you either have or you don't. It's very simple. There's no in between. And so a lot of divorces started occurring. Now there were people who would actually, afterwards, in their second spouse, they didn't ever have any problems. But it usually was something along those lines where, if it was a business arrangement, it was usually ugly how it ended. And so there were all of these needless problems because of certain types that would think that it would be acceptable. Well, you can't. And so certain people tried to do things backhandedly, and this is some part of the Enron scandal, is certain people wouldn't pay attention to the mandatory factors, such as anti-slavery laws and women's rights. Those particular things, those really important constitutional rights. And so freedom of religion and all that, and when you have people such as Mike, Anna, and Patricia who wouldn't know that I already protected myself regarding my own stuff well before, and reiterated it. So there wouldn't ever be that type of marital aspect without actual informed consent. So it would be a null and void unless you actually earn it. because of how I am. Wouldn't matter, no matter what. And Anna would have actually seen, here's an irony of the second time, well, a multitude of times, where actually having seen where the candles had been, because she decided to show up to my house without my permission. Yet again, it's one of those, I don't care who you think you are, I don't care that you're an egg donor. That doesn't mean anything to me. You need to seriously accept the facts. I'm a biological adult. I didn't ask for your assistance. I don't want your assistance when you do stuff like that. It is literally a what part of no don't you understand? It's 2 letters, N-O, done, stop. It literally is that. Same thing with my biological father, same thing with my biological sister. It literally has been a constant, which as people would learn and know. And so, but if they spoke with the wrong one, which would be my dead ex-husband when he was alive, they would purposefully be told that they would have the same thing in comparison to me, because why would you ever ask the one and only sponsor? Why would you ever ask the one and only person who would be capable to answer it all? So, why would they ever think of that? That would require common sense, intellect, and that sort of stuff, because of course they would probably assume that it would be, and here's the kicker where they would find out and have that sign, 2005. So if they brought up my dead ex-husband in regards to when my biological mother went running around, that would be the day that they found out that I'm the only sponsor. Yeah, that would be the day that they would be officially informed by the United States of America's Armed Forces that I'm the only sponsor. And if they didn't back off and pay attention to what orders and commands that I would give, that would be a downfall for them. Yes, that would be the official time. It would. And if they didn't adhere to my commands, then they would learn the hard way. Yeah. So that would be the time frame in 2005 when officially they would have learned that they didn't have any authority ever to speak with anybody except for me. Yeah. But such as those stereotypes where in comparison to acknowledging and, that stereotype of wishing they could cover it up, the irony of irony, you can't. And so all of the stuff that they already stirred up and everything like that, they would officially close their own caskets, put their own nails and screws into their own caskets, officially on their own. Yes, they would, officially, in the proverbial metaphor, because while they would wish that it would be, and if they asked my now dead ex-husband when he was alive, whether it was during the first and or second separation, most likely, which is the final separation, he probably would have lied to them and wanted, because of that machismo garbage. And so they would have believed his little fluffy in comparison. Yeah, no. He would have led them on a path to hell because of a few reasons. Yeah, because of how he had actually been. And so he would purposefully do that, and they would believe him. Similarly to those dress blues. Yeah. So it was as it was, and I made attempts, but they didn't want to believe because they thought they knew better. The dress blues were a second sign to them. Yeah, whatever occurred with that was the second sign. Third sign, so another sign would be the first separation, and then the 22 as far as Bamsi. Yeah, that would be another sign and all that sort of stuff, because what person would clean a 22 that was, and it just so happened, and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, every bit of it. And so let's see, Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment, graduation, my blue ID card. St. John Vianney High School graduation, let's see, that would be the first separation. I guess that would be the legal guardian aspect technically. So then Crystal Lake South High School graduation, that would be the first separation. Yeah, yeah. So they had all these signs, and then, Wilford Hall 2005 and all that. So legally, they would have been informed time and time again. And each time that they would ever try would just be another red flag. And anybody they involved without informed consent only to me, another red flag, another check, that they'd mess up and they would be held accountable for. And so, so today is the 5th of May. Yeah, it's 32 days till that full merger. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And as I pointed out, there's a Friday the 13th in this month. So, here's a way to prevent yourself from dealing with things. Tell the truth. As long as you tell the truth and acknowledge the truth in full truth, all that stuff, it's so much easier. Yeah, you don't have to deal with certain things. If you acknowledge that and then go to actually fix and repair things, not in a wishful whatever. No. You acknowledge everything you did incorrectly, and then the whatever's up, because there's no aspect of beforehand. Yeah, so it's kind of similar. So in Austin, I was asked to give a number, and I said no. Yeah, no, I want a whole bunch of stuff before I will, and you actually have to make the offer first, and then I will counter offer it. Because it's not the other way around. Your school and your people messed up, you are going to make the first, because that's how it goes. Because I'm that person. Yes, because that's just how it is. Because I was born and raised in New Jersey. And so, I know a thing or two. I paid attention to the IRS and Ron stuff, among a few other things. Yeah, no, I learned a lot. Yes, I did. I paid attention to detail. Yes, I did. And so my family, my son, my daughter, yeah, my recognition, my credit, my work, all that stuff. Yes, they didn't ever have any right or authority to ever do anything, especially when you take in consideration the oceanic stuff. And so any of the clarifications and verifications since 2019 in my journal blog, The Ordinary PSA, on the website, www.susanmuling.com. Just think, NASA's been around however long it took to formulate NASA, before it was actually officially recognized. Yes. And so now we have the U.S. Space Force. It was signed in 2020. 45. Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America at that time, and 47, Vice President of the United States of America, Mike Pence, and their administrations in Congress and Senate. When did that big blue book come out? What year was that published? Would there be a correlation to how long it took to get NASA going? Maybe, I don't know. However, there's the U.S. Space Force. Though, you know what, finding a silver lining may have had a few things that, Irving in 2011 and Indiana in 1999 and my scuba diving in 2009. That's 20 years now, isn't it? Sure is. It sure is. It's 30 years now past 2019. Civilian recreational scuba divers on top of that. Awesome. Yes, I've had my Medal of Honor art project trips. Like Montana and a few areas, and then Arco. Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. And then there's the San Juan Island situation. Yeah, it's kind of important. Yeah. I know that 44, Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, he had said that, American exceptionalism, he might have been giving you a participation trophy when it comes to my actual scuba diving compared to the rest of you civilian recreational scuba divers and Anna, Megan, Patricia, Mason, Elizabeth, hypothetical. He said that. I did not. I have not given, yeah, no, I don't believe in participation trophies. So, you know. You just think about that. Yeah. Whatever that speech was, American exceptionalism and stuff like that. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, anyway, so, whatever, no, it's fine. Yeah, no, extraordinary. So it is what it is. So, difference. It's important. So, again, to the IRS aspect, so go and sell my house in 2008 regarding my house in San Antonio. I have made attempts each year. So when I was volunteering at Nine Lives Books, I had already been an ordained reverend and I had already had the other aspects. So then there's this garbage in reference to my blue ID card and Michael Roberts thinking he actually knew anything regarding tax code and stuff. He didn't know anything. I am the only one who can run my own business because of these legalities. Otherwise, everybody gets taxed heavier. Yeah, everybody has a higher rate. So, like, for example, all of that work that I had actually volunteered, done, all that sort of stuff, I made attempts to discuss this with him in 2006 or 2007. I think it was 2007. And he tried to claim that he knew better, and I was like, no. If you do it this, and I made attempts, and he was like, I don't believe you actually know anything. You didn't graduate basic training, and you have a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the front end over your brain. You went from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math, so you don't actually know arithmetic the way I do. And yet, I know IRS tax law. And I've had a few whatevers, and blue ID card, and all this other stuff, but what would I know? And so, things went the way they did, as far as that was concerned, because the one and only sponsor. Yeah, and so if he had ever made any fake ID cards from my blue ID card, guess what problems that would cause Nine Lives Books? On top of your dad is not a captain situation. Yeah, because that would be a lockdown. That's why Military City, USA. Look at that. Yes. But they were Democrats and they didn't really like the military. They looked down upon that, because cat sanctuary people couldn't do cat rescue on a military installation because of, yeah, that was one of Suzanne's complaints, is that she knew people who just couldn't be a part of it on the property of the United States of America's Armed Forces bases. Yeah, there are standards and minimum requirements regarding that being concerned, and she was so offended that the Army and the Air Force and she didn't say the Coasties, but Coasties and Marine Corps and Navy had the nerve to have standards as to how many stray animals they could have roaming around on a military installation. Who would think that would be a thing? She actually complained about that to me. It was like, wow, I didn't realize that you were that much of a Democrat. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's funny. You think that you're smart about that, and yet if you actually knew what Democrats do, you have no idea about their actual and you're in a bookstore. Maybe you can look at a few things. You got this guy named Howard. You should ask him about the foundations as far as the American Civil War. There were a few situations you should kind of pay attention to as to a bit of an irony, which is funny because he knew about my issues with technology. One day, he was doing some work in his whatever it was as far as was concerned, and he brought in a railroad tie or railroad wood piece or whatever, and he wrote a little note in cursive that said, "Do not use this to turn off the computer." As far, and, you know, had it stapled, and I was, because there was a point in time when I was listing books, and Howard had come in and he looked and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "There's an issue with the computer." I was doing whatever. And he was like, "What's wrong?" He saw the computer doing all sorts of whatever. And this is before my laptop situation as far as Geek Squad is concerned. And no offense to Amazon because it was through Amazon, but there was this huge amount of issues, a whole bunch of stuff going on. Ken Westmeyer had come in and he had seen it as well, and he's like, "What's going on?" The computer screen was doing all sorts of stuff. My ex-roommate, Alicia, had actually seen this. So had, I think Patrick, my ex-boyfriend, had seen this, but I know Philip had seen this. The guy I was mentoring, and then, see, he had seen it as far as laptop stuff, but he had also seen it when it came to Zippy. How Zippy was, because Zippy was my little VW Beetle, my little bumblebee car. Yeah, Zippy, Zippy would let you know whether or not Zippy liked you. And Zippy was as Zippy was. The windshield wipers let him know. Yeah, it was a situation as far as that was concerned. So this, you know, desktop, whatever, was doing whatever it was, and it was what it was. And I started getting angry because there were issues. And Howard was just like, you know, "Susan," or he would randomly call me Mei-Ling. That is different. I was like, "I am going to take a tree and log off of it. Like, you don't even know. This thing is whatever or whatever. I'm going to cut a tree down and whoop this." And the next day that I came in, he had one of those railroad, it was a hilarious joke. And he says, "Do not use this to time out." Dude, this is a log, but it's not intended for that. It's just, and so I had issues with technology a long time, and as soon as waking up from that coma, I looked in my head and Sunday 2000. And so, yeah, it was as it was. But I made attempts to tell Michael, "You have no idea how that actually goes when it comes to me." So everything is, like, as far as the tax credits and stuff, it's only through one person. So, because of the way that actually has to be done. And so, you know, it can only be in my name. I have to do things a certain way. Anybody who tries otherwise, they're going to cause a bunch of needless problems because of the way it actually has to be done. I'm an ordained reverend. I have all this other stuff. And on top of which, there are certain things that military gets and no one can assist with unless they are officially. So if you try to circumvent that because of how the blue ID card is a big thing. So it's one of those, you don't have the right to get involved, because if you get involved, you muck it up. And that's just the facts. You cannot do that because of the way it goes. So fast forward, I go and purchase my house in Carrollton. Well, arrange it with the realtor. As far as I was concerned, this is after the 35 southbound semi-truck situation. And I tell this female, you know, the other person is to pay the closing costs, the fees, the title, and the taxes. That's what they are to do. And, you know, that, whoever I purchase the house from, that is their job, that is their, you know, that is the cost that they are going to eat for me to go and purchase the house and stuff like that. And she was like, "Okay, so I thought I could take care of it one way. I didn't realize it was a situation." So we go to a bank, I get it taken care of, get the financial transfer as far as it was concerned. And those people were supposed to take care of the entirety of it. That's how it was supposed to be, through the title company. Everything went the way it did. And then there was the stuff as far as my scuba diving, McCoy Elementary School, all of those needless problems. And it's like, I was informed I was supposed to just receive a slip, essentially, that would be, after the VA stuff and whatever, it was something like 1,000 or 1,500 total. That's it. That's my yearly property taxes for the time frame. That was it, nothing more. So, okay, fine. I had made attempts in regards to, because I was skeptical that I wouldn't have to again, and I want to make sure. So I had been to H&R several times, Jackson Hewitt several times. I actually wrote a check to Jackson Hewitt to a mail, and I think it was Walmart, and because he was like, this doesn't make sense that you're, and so I explained what I had been informed of, and he looked up the codes, and he's like, actually, you're correct, yeah, you don't ever have to pay taxes, and if you ever do have to pay taxes, and it only goes to you, you're the only one who pays a lower amount of taxes. Anybody else, if they get involved with your stuff, they have to pay 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times the amount of taxes in comparison. So if they involve themselves with anything that they shouldn't involve themselves with, they are going to be taxed for that. And so, I've done everything I could to make sure to keep those types of people out of my business, because why would they ever know that? Again, it goes to my blue ID card stuff. That sort of, common sense. Common sense. I actually knew what I was doing. The whole time. The whole time. If those people didn't move to Texas, if those people, as far as my ex-in-laws, didn't get involved, if those people regarding, 9 Lives books and all those crazy cat people type did not get involved, I actually wouldn't have had to deal with about 90% of the garbage that I've dealt with. But those types of people who think that they know what they're doing when they don't, because they think that they have an idea when they don't, it's one of those, okay, you know what, I don't have patience for your type of people. So don't be upset, don't be mad, I don't care about your feelings, I can make a joke in regards to mask mandates. The only time I've worn a mask, there's 2 types of masks I've had. One that said Trump 2020 or a picture of 45, whatever, and the other one said fuck your feelings. And you know what? I'm gonna guesstimate it's fairly accurate both ways. Fairly certain. Absolutely. So, it is what it is. If it was just done correctly instead, because I knew what I was doing and I had already researched this stuff. But, that would require those types of people to actually ask me, instead of assuming that they knew anything at all. That's kind of, one of those things. I've already taken care of it. I earned 26 scuba diving certifications in less than a 10-month time frame. You might think I know a few things. Sure, it's not the same thing. However, you know what? Most people probably take a lot longer to swim from one side of Clear Springs to the other side and back, and I was being lazy in regards to swimming across from one side to the other. It was less than 5 minutes, and it was just do in comparison. Not even out of breath. Just saying. But those types of individuals thinking that they had any idea at all, when realistically they didn't. And don't pretend that they aren't feminazis and bigots, when realistically, what have they said and or typed since the time frame of 2009? Because I actually knew what I was doing, but those types of people who wouldn't have believed me in regards to where I was born and raised because of whatever Mike, Anna, and or Patricia tried to tell them, same thing as far as my ex-in-laws and all that sort of stuff, because I guarantee you when it comes to, there are those in and this is what I made attempts to warn people in Texas. So there were people that came up from Texas to the tri-state area. You know how you are. And I'm not talking about college students. I'm talking about Texans. Those types of Texans that go in and you don't want to spend the time in New York City, so you stay in New Jersey and you don't realize what you do. Yeah, so in the 1970s and 1980s, there were a lot of Texans that were showing up to the tri-state area. There were a few issues. A few people got a little angry, but a lot. Yeah, yeah. And so, there are a few situations, and then, with all the technology stuff, and so there were some individuals who thought that they knew better in regards of, the state of Texas. There are those Texans who know who they are as far as those types are concerned. And so these individuals came up from Texas, and they show up to Prudential and other locations, and they do a few things. And there was a company who wanted to try to actually put an oil rig off of the Atlantic coastline, and we had some issues because of the current strength. And so there were certain factors that, well, it was as it was. So sure, you got your little Gulf of Mexico area. You think that you're so smart, okay, but you still have to keep in certain situations combined as far as in mind and stuff like that. And if you don't keep that in mind, you're going to deal with certain things because of the facts. Because if there's ever any major current shift, you don't know what you're dealing with. And it is as it is. And so, there were a few other situations as far as the Texas types were concerned. And it wasn't necessarily the college students, ironically. It was more along the lines of their family. Yeah, their family. It was their friends that would come up and visit. Certain types that, y'all don't know nothing. How y'all doing up in Jersey? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that, I'm not, what I'm gonna say is, I was born and raised in New Jersey. And so, some people had some family and friends that would, go to only certain boroughs, because at that time, only certain boroughs in the New York City area had certain types of, colleges and stuff, and there were certain situations that were as they were. Then I had my New Jersey flags in my house in San Antonio. Yeah, that one went missing, my New Jersey flag. And then, then there was the Carrollton house, and not even 3 months of living in Carrollton, and my New Jersey flag went missing. And so it was one of those, that's what the problem with those types are. Because they don't see that, like for example, who in the state of Texas would actually have anybody that was involved regarding, if they survived the 11th of September 2001. Why would people in the city of San Antonio need that as a reminder? If you're a civilian, well, you wouldn't know anything at all. Even if you were told, you wouldn't know. And so, you'd just be one of those who wouldn't know anything at all. And then in Carrollton, well, what would you know as far as that's concerned at all? Stereotypical ignorance and arrogance as well as haughtiness and those types, because, what would you know as far as anything outside of your, little areas? Yeah, your little, not even small town, but, definitely not a big enough town in those references. But, you got the big attitude and those types of situations, and so, but I earned my 26 scuba diving certifications, and I had cleared some water. I did all this work. And so, there's that cup reference, that statement. Yeah, that clear water that I had healed and done all that work myself too, making sure to, life and all that, it's okay. I'm not the IRS, but I can take care of that. That's fine. No, that's fine. I know how to take my energy and do what I need with my energy. That's okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. And so, no, it's okay. I earned as I earned. Etiquette and respect. It's fine. And so, no, that's fine. That hypothetical. And so, in 2009 and 2010, I made attempts to, again, I didn't ever think that there was this point where the IRS auditor people in like Walmart, for example, the Jackson Hewitt, that was out in the Austin area. I think it was the Cedar Park location maybe, or nearby. Maybe it was Round Rock. I think it might have been Round Rock Walmart and stuff like that, and a few other locations each year, making attempts here and there, and here's my whatever, and it got to the point where even the VA was not sending certain things. The VA were just like, yeah, so you don't have any, there's no need for that because it's automatic, no matter what. It's automatic. Same thing with the other aspects. Just, that's it. It's automatically clear. Nothing except for if you go to purchase something, then that's the only time you pay taxes. That's it. Nothing more. That's it. Okay. All right. That's clear. Okay. So by the time of 2012, well, okay. Fast forward, I wind up in Washington State after the Stoney LaRue concert, and March of 2013. That sort of stuff, and because, my biological mother, biological father, and biological sister have been as they've been since 2003. Those 10 years, their little temper tantrums and stuff like that. What is the time from, 1992, 10 years? Oh, okay. No, just keep that in mind. Don't pretend those people ever actually cared about me. Don't pretend. You had so many signs, because if they actually cared about me in comparison, those people got angry because when I'd go to Prudential, the different individuals as far as management, they didn't want to speak with Mike, they didn't want to speak with Anna. They didn't care about Patricia at all. And so those different guys, they wanted to speak with me. So temper tantrum. Business that Mike got was because of me in regards to certain areas. So in those particular, thou shalt not be greedy. Yeah, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not, those 10 commandments. So a lot of stuff, and then, my bucko and my bucko, my grandpa got it, and Sonny Sonia and Joe Jose, the irony as far as stuff was concerned, they didn't realize. So like when the stuff started being a problem regarding my biological sister in Asher Holmes Elementary School, it was because she wasn't, following protocol. And so she wanted to be special and she wasn't. And she was special, just not in, an extraordinary way. It was in an exceptional way. So, it was as it was. And it is what it is. If it's mean, that's fine. So, it is as it is. So, by the time of essentially being 30 and stuff like that, as far as 2020, 2013, all that sort of stuff, those needless problems. What was that I wrote about regarding finding a silver lining? Finding the silver lining, prophecy, And so, yes, so those people have not, and won't ever have any authorization legally from me at any point in time. They cannot ever get that legally because it has to be an informed official consent. If they try to do any other way because of the Americans with Disability Act, as well as Blue ID Card, one and only sponsor, they cannot do it any subverted way ever. Because of UCMJ standards, additionally living inside Military City, USA, and since it's approved in the state of Texas, there is the fact that if the governor of the state of Texas approved of the terminology Military City, USA, state of Texas can be too. State of Texas can actually be Military State, USA, and no longer the name State of Texas. That is a legality. Yes, it is. I don't know if that's been known, but that is what it is. So I made attempts in regards of making sure my taxes were paid. So then in Washington State, when I opened my business, and made sure everything was together because it had to be, and it didn't really matter because I already looked at the legalities. As long as I was using my name, first name legally, first and middle name because of my life history, my life experiences, all of my work automatically would always remain mine. Legal copyrights, there's other factors such as the Superman comics. So nobody can ever take that. Legally, it's always mine. Permanently. They have to retract themselves. If they don't, they can be in federal court in regards of legally. In this hypothetical, legally they can actually be arrested. If any of that, because they would be a part of tax evasion. Because the irony, I wouldn't have to. They would, because they wouldn't know anything. So any trying to do any deductions, any trying of all these other things, legally, they would automatically be put into that. Anybody they involved, anything at all, they contact somebody and they're like, hey Millers, you know, whatever, automatic audit, you better, and that's the facts. Yeah. So, you know, I did what I could to actually cover people, you know, because I have this weird sensation, and some people, you know, I made attempts, I didn't know words. I made attempts though, and I have clarified as far as my updates regarding my journal blog, the Ornery PSA, through my website, www.susanmealing.com, because again, Enron, I've seen. So I've made attempts. I apparently didn't fill out the paperwork correctly, though I did make attempts. So, you know, I have acknowledged I'm not the smartest crayon in the toolbox. So, okay, form's fine. I did make attempts though. I did everything I could because, you know, however, it is what it is, but nonetheless, it's still, because of that Superman comic thing, always mine. Can't ever be transferred because of the legalities. Palm Sunday head injury, 2000, over, automatic. Everything combined, everything connected, all mine, permanently. Always will be. What is the song? Forever shall be, forever and ever and ever and ever, amen. Always has been that way. So yeah. While some people might not have known that, that's the facts. But you literally have it in hymnals. There's literally hymnals regarding that. So, you know, all of those, in those regards, who may have wished otherwise, no, facts. Yeah. Whatever is shall be forever, on and on forever, and end without end. Amen. I have the organist who song, or the organ audible aspects of that particular song from Old Tender Presbyterian Church. End without end, or life without end, amen. Amen. And so yeah, it's always been that way. And so anybody that would know that, but would try, would actually set off some more of those red flags for themselves and everybody that they would involve. And so now you have the merger. And literally 32 days regarding T-Mobile and Sprint. Now Sprint is kind of unique. Sprint has mainly been military guys and law enforcement guys. There are other company or other connections regarding Sprint. However, T-Mobile was made by AT&T. Verizon for a while was just Verizon, similarly to Sprint. But AT&T and Verizon got together, and there's a 25%. And so, you know, AT&T made T-Mobile. and those cell phone towers. So Sprint was the only one that remained on its own. So again, it's that Ma Bell situation where automatically, so it's the equivalent, which is funny when you take a look at Sprint, it's a yellow color, which is Western Union's color. If you really take a look at it, as like smaller aspects to review, whereas Ma Bell, it had it was a golden-ish, but it had red and black and white as far as the main logo way back when. And a little bit of a green, I think if I remember correctly, there was a little bit of a green, I think it was like a green ivy leaf or something. And so yeah, it's an irony in regards of, because you take in consideration the three companies, Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, and that really is Ma Bell, in that metaphor, proverbial way. Whereas Sprint is in the cell phone version of compared to landlines, because if you know, the Western Union aspect. So when you take in consideration way back when in reference to landlines as far as Ma Bell, it had the electrical lines, it had the towers, it had radio stations, which were towers. And so all of the electrical, everything, the fiber optics, everything developed from Ma Bell. And so in the larger aspect, okay, it got put here and this here, and because of certain things it had to be done and whatever, and Western Union stayed as Western Union doing its own thing. Well, in the cell phone versions, you've got a multitude of whatever company you want to use as far as a name. However, they still have to go through the actual tower up. So it doesn't matter what level of G you get, you still are using the equivalent of Ma Bell because it originated as. And so, yeah, okay, it did this, well, it went the way that it did, it turned around as it did, and it was always inevitable. It was always going to be that way. I'm sure there are others who have known about certain types of situations, and that's how it was. So in that particular difference, my books, or Ma Bell, my books, my work, I already went to H&R multiple times because I knew what I was doing. But certain types of people wouldn't ever think about that, because they'd only read the mission statements and stuff like that, and they'd assume and would have ye of little faith. Automatically. Ye of little faith. That only shows exactly in reference to what I dealt with growing up. No different than Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment. No different in regards to my nightmare and the warnings. No difference in reference to Old Tenet Presbyterian Church and those factors. No different. It's always been. So, it's just the facts. So it's really always been that way. And so now with the merger, it's at warp speed already. It's warp speed, for those who know that particular terminology when it comes to companies and factors of, by the time you have the terminology of warp speed, which 45 did bring up, if I remember correctly, in 2020, towards the middle of the year of 2020, by the time of warp speed being brought up, anybody who knows major company, major business stuff, that pretty much translates to, in the larger factors that you have, which is true, about 2 years left at the first time because of whatever legal amounts of paperwork. And so, at this point in time, and it's now 2022, so depending on what time of the year he had actually said that, well then there's that irony, because I thought he had said it around, it might have been May, I don't know, I guess maybe it was, I'm not certain. Which would be irony, or it could have been April. That's something I'd have to look up, but yeah, as soon as he said that, that's pretty much around the 2-year mark, maybe 2 year and a month point in time for most who know larger company aspects automatically. So, with that, and the formation of the U.S. Space Force, and then Blue Origin, and all those other factors, you have the proof as to. So, for example, having gone out to areas that would prove to those on land above sea level that would know I'm only 5'4". So, being only 5'4", next to the Vandenberg at the keel of the ship, I'm not gonna be seen. Yeah, okay, seeing the Kitty Hawk, you have no idea what it is to realize that, each and every individual who could have actually cared in the correct capacities made the choices that they had. The amount of time as far as my daughter, my son, and I as a family, in comparison to what those people did. Their arrogance, their haughtiness, their selfishness, nothing of value or worth, in my opinion. Because while they might think it's a funny little whatever, no, not at all. There wasn't anything funny about it. Because why would you ever think that that'd be something that'd be appreciated by me? Why would that ever be appreciated in my viewpoint? The answer is, for this lecture, it wouldn't. Ever. In any capacity. It would have been so much easier back in 2009 in comparison. Could have been actually up in the, New York City area if those people, but because of those people type, how they had their issues as it was, I didn't graduate basic training, so on and so forth. So if they're whining and complaining as to, well, we could have done, yeah, could have done it before, actually, could have done it in 2005. Could have done it in 2004, could have done it in 2003, as far as going up to New York City. But those types of those people thinking that they actually knew better in comparison because they were lying to themselves. It's really what it boils down to. Because if they had just told the truth from the beginning, there would have been no problems to the levels up. So if at Old Tennant Presbyterian Church, the church was divided literally down the center aisle, and a bunch of individuals were like, that's a slippery slope. Once you do that, once you take that step, it's going to be an avalanche. Because what type would you actually think of yourself to be? So if you were in the YOLO version, well, there you go. But that's your legacy for eternity, automatically. So, you can do things to work on, things to fix and repair to a degree, but you have to start out in full, transparent truth. So I've brought forward, I've known the distinctive difference from the beginning that my fact-based books are my fact-based books. I've known from the beginning my fiction-based books are my fiction-based books. I haven't ever been ignorant on that. I've known that this entire time. However, as someone who actually doesn't normally go around randomly to events talking in that capacity, and having the capability to actually speak with people, if there were those who didn't ever think to just ask me with etiquette and respect, which they could have back in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, could have just had etiquette and respect, could have just done that. If it was known regarding my website, www.susanmealing.com, because I didn't forget that, obviously. I also wasn't going to go and do that way. You know, some people just want to be capable to enjoy themselves and relax instead of certain things. And so if you don't realize that someone such as can pick up on that energetic aspect, and you don't think about that, and you choose to whatever, well, yeah, you're going to put that person on guard real quick. Because if you didn't believe in the energetic portions of my Medal of Honor art project, and or whatever, yeah, no. I've already gone over those updates since my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmealing.com, since 2019. And so, yeah, that's kind of important. So if people were expecting something and all they had to do was just ask, that's all they had to do was have etiquette, maturity, and respect and just ask me. Think about that. Think about that length of time. Just in those references of 2015 through essentially 2022 at this point. So that's 7 years where you could have just asked by having common sense, etiquette, respect, and maturity. And that would have been it. It would have been so easy. But someone who wouldn't actually have a background in humility, because they would expect of themselves to be so recognizable, no matter who they were, that as soon as walking into a location, they would expect that off the bat. They also, I would guesstimate, wouldn't have ever volunteered unless they were forced to. So if they were forced to volunteer, then they would complain in comparison, because they would feel it was beneath them, instead of actually seeing where it would actually be beneficial. So I've got decades of volunteering that I've done. I volunteered throughout different areas of Old Tenet Presbyterian Church since I was a child. I mean, I am who I am as far as that's concerned regarding nativity scene. That wasn't really by choice. However, by choice, by informed choice, I have been volunteering for decades. So I've done volunteer work since in official capacities regarding Old Tenet Presbyterian Church. Yes, there is the drive-through nativity later, but I would help or I'd assist where I could Mr. Burke, as far as certain aspects there. There's Pastor Mackenzie in certain references. There's coffee hour. There's Sunday school, and that's all before my confirmation class. Actually, before my confirmation class, there was also, there's Harvest Home, and then there were a few brunches that were, so pancakes, something another. I would assist in the kitchen regarding that. There were several times where, similar to my cousin Jade's parents getting married, which is her parents, her father married my biological father's aunt, which is my great aunt Helen. Similar to the wedding stuff, there were a few times where I had to be sent down to the kitchen to assist because there were more people that showed up than were expected as far as that was concerned. Similarly to Harvest Home a few times. And so, and that was, I mean, it was the pancake one. There also was, there were 3 or 4 throughout the year that I'd usually volunteer with regarding those huge mixers that had the egg beaters and stuff like that, commercial size. I mean, then there were other volunteer stuff, and it was throughout the year, it was just continuous. And so, and that's just in regards to Voltena Presbyterian Church from on about the time frame of kindergarten all the way through to 1998, essentially. Then, and while in between having done some other work, of course, then in Illinois, there was Habitat for Humanity through Ricklepick, and the guys in that particular situation, those in Habitat for Humanity were surprised as to how much work I could actually get taken care of and assist with. I didn't really move that much dirt at that time. I had actually assisted. So like the other teenagers thought I was slacking off in comparison to the wood beam banister that I was assisting with, and and I actually moved the banister myself, and some of the females got all upset because the males that were there, they didn't want the other females around because they were being typical teenagers. And so the teenage females, especially from Ricklepick, were all upset because the people in Ohio were surprised that I was doing as much as I was. And since I had assisted building the 5-car garage with the shed attached, a bunch of the engineers and housing developers and I were discussing a few situations. I was comparing a few aspects from Carlton Homes when the model home was being built, but also some of the other aspects because I was informing them about the basements because of the wetlands that had been formed because of what had occurred. And so we were talking about certain environmental factors. And so the teenager females, they tried doing kind of what the female civilian recreational scuba divers had done. And so they, tied up their shirts up here, and the males were just, yeah, great, whatever, we don't want to talk with you. And so in it was as it was, because I was taking things seriously. So they thought that I was slacking off in comparison to the amount of work I was actually doing. And so, and that was also inside, so I was assisting with the electrical wiring, like putting in certain ceiling fans and stuff like that. I was assisting with I hung some drywall and put in some fiberglass into a few areas. I had assisted with laying some pipes as well as getting the plumbing ready to go. And then, and this was in a few different houses, but because I was inside, they thought that I was not doing anything in comparison. And all they were doing was talking. And they'd move a shovel of dirt, and it'd take them 20 minutes to put a shovel of dirt in while I'm running around inside taking care of everything else. So it was as it was, and then when we went back to to leave, the guys, a bunch of the males, I don't remember them all, they were like, hey, Susan, come here for a second. And all of the females were like, oh, you're calling us too. And they were like, no, we're not. And one of the guys, is your name Susan? And they, no. Why? Well, then we don't want to speak with you, so excuse us. And it was like, oh, wow. And so, yeah, the males were as they were. And so what was it? One of the guys had talked about peanut butter and mayonnaise with pickles. And I was like, ew, what is wrong with you? That's just a weird combination. He's like, no, it's not that bad of a sandwich. You gotta try. If you put a hamburger in there, throw some cheese upon that, get a little bit of, ketchup, a little barbecue sauce. Oh, okay. But peanut butter and mayonnaise and pickle. No, no. What is wrong with you? What did you get some meat up in there? And what is And the guy was like, why is it? Have you had a hamburger before? The guy was like, yeah, okay, we'll cut up some, take some bratwursts and some hot dogs, have you heard of Dad would? Like, this is what I'm talking about with a real sandwich, okay? These guys it was as it was. The females were like, why are you talking about that? That's so weird. It's like, so what are we supposed to talk about? They brought up high school stuff, and it's like, yeah, so we're talking about food. So let's get the grill out, guys. And so, but it's been that way for as long. And so then they were upset because I assisted with the next day. They actually brought a grill in. And it's like, okay, may I? And they were like, well, it's like, no, I'll get those coals ready to go. And so we went round and round and got that was just a regular circle size grill, and did what we did and stuff like that. And then, of course, they complained, thinking that I wasn't doing anything except for just cooking food. That was the stereotype of those types of individuals. And it's like, yeah, if you actually knew what it took to grill food correctly, whatever, maybe one day some of you will actually learn, and then you'll realize how much work I actually was doing. Habitat for Humanity. Anyway, yeah, it was as it was. So then, and that's just one, that was really a smaller amount of volunteering in comparison. Yeah, I still assisted with like a whole neighborhood of houses, but it was as it was. Oh, and a playground. Yeah, because they were putting a playground in there too. And so, it was as it was, but compared to like the years of Adult-Time Presbyterian churches, some volunteering. And then by the time of Nine Lives Books, then there's that. International Scuba, then there's that. And the lifestyle was supposed to be the adult consenting lifestyle, but also in the pagan community there was some volunteering that I had done. So like at Drum Circle, I would help, or I'd assist carrying wood logs down from the top all the way, and then I'd get the fire going. I wouldn't get it going initially, but then, I'd throw in logs and stuff like that to get the flames to continue, and that sort of stuff. And then additionally, there was, the supposed to be consenting adult lifestyle. And most events I actually had done some sort of, whether it was cleaning up some stuff or arranging a few things or assisting moving furniture or whatever it was, depending on. So I've got, I think it's like going on 3.5 decades of that. So in that reference, in Sapphire, that's just nothing new to me. But anybody who wouldn't actually know me, that would claim that they knew me, that name-dropping sort of way, they wouldn't ever pay attention to that. So some who might know me might not have known what level I had volunteered, and that might have been a little bit of a whatever. But others, if they were in that kind of pretentious-y sort of way, yeah, no, they would have never. My biological sister had no idea how much I volunteered. She had that viewpoint that she was better in all sorts of ways because she, paid however many thousands of dollars for their, books and college and whatever as far as that's concerned. And I earned 26 scuba diving certifications and, landed at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, as well as after taking care of all the water in the state of Texas, landing at the bottom of the lakes and quarries and hot springs and reservoirs when they were deep, and then, the Gulf of Mexico, and then the, out from Boca, that forming underwater volcano area, and then, actually in the actual depth level of the actual abyss, trench area, as to where the Vandenberg was. But those types of civilian recreational scuba divers thinking that's a joke in comparison to reality, I hope all that comes out at warp speed levels. Especially when you take in consideration, if you take that NASA stuff seriously, if you take that US Space Force stuff seriously, if you take that Blue Origin stuff seriously, and if you take that SpaceX stuff seriously, you should probably, warp speed that, huh? Yeah. However, I also fought to join the Army branch, so that's a different type of volunteering. And then, I was invited, so technically it's not volunteering. As far as Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment, that was those guys being like, and you're with us. That's how this goes, and no Mike, no Anna, no Patricia, no ex-in-laws, bye. No. I could make a joke, it'd be kind of funny, because, Marine, U.S. Marine Corps, Marine Science and Technology School with the Navy, it'd be kind of funny, because, everybody knows about the back and forth between the Army and the Navy. They don't know about, some do. Some know how it goes between the Marines and the Navy. And then, don't ever count the coasties out. The coasties know. They are a little bit more ninja sometimes. Sometimes you don't know how ninja the coasties can be. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I'm just saying. They kind of know. So, it is what it, again, the Vandenberg, there might have been a Coast Guard guy, maybe, somewhere in the state of Florida somewhere. I don't know how many people know about where there could be a coast in the state of Florida. And how many coasts could there be in the state of Florida? Sure, it's a peninsula, so what? So what? Where could there be? So there could be a Coast Guard somewhere. Sure, so like Washington State and Oregon State and like California State, sure. But there's something a little bit different about Florida. I don't know, and so the coasties, I can make a joke. The coasties could be like, oh yeah, well, it was the Gulf of Mexico first and then the Atlantic. But she grew up going to the Atlantic or the ocean. The coast. But in reference to the Habitat for Humanity afterwards, we had gone to, I don't know which lake, I'm sure I could look it up on a map. I know it was the Wisconsin Dells, if I remember correctly. And that whole swimming in the center of the lake after the water skiing situation and the water skis, and won't wear a bikini after that, except for my wetsuit. That's the closest bikini in the water that I can wear. I learned that. I learned that. Arizona. Arizona. Who'd think that I'd learn I could only wear a bikini? Only I would have this, because I am as I am. So I can model with a bikini on land, out of the water, fine. It stays in place like it's supposed to. Go in the water in Arizona. Where there's a desert. But there's a pool, okay, cool. Except, go in the pool and it's no different than going into the lake. out at the Wisconsin Dells. So the only type of bikini I am capable to wear in the water, again, this is irony that the only location that I can, learn this as an official memory is Arizona. Mm-hmm. Where it's Scottsdale, Arizona, where cacti get sunburnt. So hot in Arizona, the cacti get sunburnt. And I finally learned, after waking up from a coma, after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, takes me a while to remember, I know, but maybe, yeah. And then, 2009, I'll keep my, bikini wetsuit on. No, my Farmer John full length, and then my shorty long sleeve 14 millimeter at the core. 7 millimeter, the extremities and stuff like that. And in Arizona, Scottsdale, all this, and mind you, this whole time I have wondered, from waking up from was that a real memory? Or was it a real, so then, fast forward all the way from 2000, passed into 2013, go to Arizona, Scottsdale, whatever month, 2013, go to, the desert area where the entire cacti plant gets sunburnt. The green turns to my hair color, and a little bit of this as far as what's supposed to be green. It's how hot it gets. It's how much sun beats down. Well, I learned I break bikinis in the pool. Okay, it's not even natural water at that point. Okay, so the only bikini I can wear is a wetsuit. It's a Farmer John. I don't even think that's self-deprecation at this point in time, but I'm still making fun of myself. And so that is as it is, that's fine. And so, up in Washington State, I get my business stuff going and, go through the whole thing. And 2 years in a row, the H&R, they were like, yeah, you don't need to. There's no reason. And I didn't invite, because there was no paperwork allowed regarding how my son and I wound up in Washington State. I didn't invite that. That wasn't ever allowed to do any paperwork. I didn't ask him to on purpose. I didn't want him to on purpose. That was not ever an invitation. That was ever in any capacity of. And so it was one of those, yeah, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that, ever, whatsoever, at all, nothing at all, bye. Yeah, no, I didn't, I've already explained how the Stoney LaRue concert had occurred as far as the entire situation. And so, again, when having been accused, of my corsetry and stuff like that, because that male and the group that he was associated with had not learned yet to back off, not interested. Yeah. Those types of needless problems. And so, here's a hint, military. You know what would be easier? You know what would be easy? To actually ask me. Yeah. That, I don't know if this ever came across as a possibility. Instead of stirring up a bunch of needless drama, here's an idea, okay? Hold on. Just ask me. But you gotta let me know in truth. Yeah, it can't be, so think of how 2019, 2020 went regarding Fort Sam Houston. Just professional, simple questions, yeah, okay, in comparison. Yeah, that would have been so much easier. Yeah, because in the lifestyle area, that's not smart. No. I don't know why it would be thought of that way. If anybody was like, this would be the smartest way to ask her, no. Not even remotely close. Not even in the vicinity of. Yeah, could have just asked directly. But you know, those types that would be as those types would be thinking that whatever, you know, so did those clarifications and updates and yeah, that whole arrangement of stuff. But what does that matter? So anyway, go to my website, www.susanmeeling.com. Go and see what I've been working on. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to share the link to my official YouTube channel's links. And like my official YouTube videos on my official YouTube channel. And make sure, if you're going to leave a comment, use etiquette and respect. And remember that in 32 days, that full merger goes through. Honesty is the best policy. Every day. Yes. So, you know, while some people might not think it's that big of a deal and made fun of me for, you know, my viewpoint, I don't know. It seems like the IRS would not be someone that you'd want to, I mean, you know, but then when you take in consideration when the deduction aspects, well, what do you deduct? Let you know, in my opinion. So, I've appreciated my constitutional rights and I understand certain things. And so, because I know that infrastructure doesn't get built without the reality of certain things, yeah. Sure, there are private companies that do so, but they have to do it within regulations so that way the people are actually cared about. Otherwise, if you don't have that, then you have all sorts of mixed mash sort of stuff. So you have to do it within reason. So I've known this for a while. It's common sense. But you know, those are simple things I took in consideration. So you guys have a good day. It's the 5th of May, 2022.